I'm
Right?
starting to
Hey,
get into that.
I can do it again. I can start it again. How are you, Sabrina? It has been too long.
It has. It has. It's been fantastically too long in that we were having a good time whilst we were off, right,
That's
Jason?
right.
So we were enjoying the summer, but welcome back to 20 Minutes EventProfs Marketing Live with myself, Sabrina Meyers from Hot Hospitality Exchange, and Jason Greenman at Event Dad from Como.
Hey,
Now, we have some very exciting news to announce, don't you,
mm,
Jason?
we do. We do. We've been thinking about the trajectory of this little program that we've been doing. We've been consistently doing it over. You know what? I don't know how long it's been, but it's been a
That's a
while.
really good question. I think
We'll
it's been
look
a
into that.
year. I want
It
to
might
say
be.
it's been a year.
I think it's about a year.
Yeah.
And and we're thinking that we're really enjoying the marketing focus that we've had, the niche of marketing. But with some of the feedback, I think that we have an opportunity to expand the topic a little bit. And we've
Mhm.
been talking about kind of maybe we'll still continue to talk about marketing, social media, content marketing, those sorts of things. But we're going to try tiptoeing out of that a little bit and broaden our horizons of this stream that we do once a week, speak to more people, talk about more topics, kind of look at the life of event profs in general, because we do marketing. Sabrina and I are specialists in marketing. However, that's not the only thing that we do,
Yeah.
not by a mile. So, um, what are some of the other things that we've been talking about, speaking about, Sabrina? What else can we bring to this?
So we want to turn this weekly show into that, just that, a weekly show. So we want to rebrand and call it something totally different. Same, but different, as we say. And it's going to be called the 20-minute Event Profs Weekly Live. And what we want to do is, as Jason was saying, bring in topics that are relevant and current in the industry. What are people talking about? What is the vibe? What is trending? Are people not talking about that we need to bring up and talk about? We also want to, highlight specific topics, as Jason was saying. So, for example, for this particular one that, we're using to kind of announce what we're going to be doing this point forward, we wanted to talk about things like the state of the events industry, like the cancellations that are taking place again and
Mhm.
again and again. It's
Yep.
like Groundhog Day, it's been described as. The Delta variant, which is ripping through
Mm.
various countries ferociously,
Yep.
and how we're all doing as an industry in different countries. Mental health, a
Yep.
humongous issue.
Yep.
Diversity and inclusion, and a
Yep.
humongous issue. Wellness, and accessibility as well is a humongous
Mhm.
issue. So it's all these topics that I think we, need to start exploring further. And it's
Mm.
not just going to be myself and Jason. We want to bring in other event professionals,
Mhm.
event professionals that are advocates, that are ambassadors, that are active and doing something in these areas, event professionals that have a voice,
Yep.
and thought leadership to lend to these topics. And me and Jason are all about being global, because for far too long have we all lived in our little kind of areas across the globe and not overlapped. And what
Mm.
the pandemic has shown the both of us is that there is a lot of beauty, and there is so much potential to bridge those gaps and to truly be voices for a global industry and represent a global industry, and not just our little corners here in Europe.
Yep.
So we also want to reach out and feature specific correspondents from all parts of the globe. So,
Mm.
from Asia, from Scandinavia, from Africa, from Australia. So if you're interested in being a correspondent for the Event Profs Weekly Live, then do reach out to us, myself and Jason, because, we want to be able to share news that's not just happening in Europe,
Mm.
but from every corner of the globe, because I don't see that come up on my feed as often as I would like.
Right.
And I would love to be able, we would love to be able to share what's happening all around the globe as well. So that's
Yep.
one thing.
Yep.
And what do we also want to be featuring, Jason, moving forward?
You put me on the spot here. I mean,
Suppliers.
What's that?
Suppliers.
Well, yeah. I mean, so really, we want to get into everything with lots of different areas of being an event professional, like Sabrina said. But yeah, we can start featuring suppliers in different areas. We can start featuring. I mean, I'm not going to pretend like we're the ultimate experts in every topic, and so I think the idea is that we can help comment and we can help navigate a conversation with people that are smarter than me. And there's so many people out there that are doing amazing things in the events world, whether that's with their virtual events, with their hybrid events, people that are doing, that are on the front lines of doing these in-person events within COVID as well. And it would be, fascinating to get people on, try to keep it short, 15 to 20 minutes, but really kind of pick their brains and navigate that conversation. You guys can ask questions in the comments. Again, I know that I'm always talking about this, but say hi in the comments. This is the big part of this show, is you guys being involved and engaging. But if we bring on somebody that has a very specific knowledge on a specific topic within the events world, we want them to come on and we want them to talk about it. So let us know what you're interested in, what's on your mind. We'll be bringing topics on board, try to have conversations about that leading up to the show, so we can have some comments, some questions prepared. And I don't know, if there's somebody that you want us to reach out to, somebody that you want to hear speak for 15 minutes, let us know. So I mean, that's kind of the concept. We're still working on it. We want to get it nailed down, but today, the point of today is to kind of put it on the table, see what you guys think, see if you even want to do this, and we will. We're probably going to do it anyway in some form or another. But it would be nice to have kind of our community, the nice community of people that we have here on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Instagram, help us with that journey and help us decide what is the future of this show that we're doing once a week. We have the same people come and watch and interact. What's the next 6 months to a year going to look like? So that's really where we are with that thought process.
Absolutely.
So
we've got Bob tuning in. Good morning,
hey,
Bob.
Bob.
Hello from sunny London.
Thank you for tuning. Thanks for saying hi. Sunny in London. All right, good. It's a rarity. I've heard it's been pretty bad.
That you hear together a lot, but that's amazing. I'm excited. It's good. It's good to be sunny.
So I don't know. I mean, we've got about 15 minutes, 10 or 15 minutes. So I mean, let's jump into some of the things that, like we said, we're gonna not focus so much on marketing for the moment. But what are some of the topics that you've been seeing? I guess let's start with the social. You are the social media guru. What are some things that you've been seeing on the feeds that are on the minds of EventProfs? Things that we can kind of discuss a little bit further.
Well, I think, it feels a little bit like Groundhog Day in terms of mental health and wellness coming back. Not that it's ever gone away,
No.
but I think it's really, really ripping a new one, if I can't say that any better. With everything that we've been going through, I've been seeing posts from various influential event professionals, as well as, majority of event professionals that I follow, just with how frustrated they are with this back and forth with cancellations, with not knowing where to plan, and it's all well and good, I think, to have a plan B and a plan C and a plan D and a plan E, but that's not going to stop your mental health being impacted. You're still going to get hit by it. You're still going to go through these moments of sheer frustration and anger and sadness, and then you're going to have to pick yourself back up and your team, and then carry yourself through again. And it's exhausting at this point. It is really exhausting, and we're seeing it. And what's been really coming up on the social media feeds is this conversation of, how are we doing? I know it's
Hmm.
frustrating. Mental health is really, really a big deal right now, and we need to reach out. We need to reach out to each other. We need to make sure that we're talking
Yeah.
to whoever is managing the teams, whoever is leading, and that everyone is kind of, looked after, or at least heard, right? I think
Mm.
that's the most important thing, so that steps can be taken to manage it.
Yep.
That's what I've been seeing. What about you, Jason?
I think that's a really hot topic right now, and it ties into another topic, which is the hybrid and the virtual space. It's tough. I think the hardest part about this, and I think I mentioned this the last time we spoke too, is that the life of an event manager or event planner or an event supplier or a
Mm.
hotel or anybody related to having people together it's just it's a series of cliffs and like whatever the opposite of a cliff, a downward cliff and an upward cliff,
Yeah,
because
roller coaster.
either
But it's
just a
no longer a
complete
fun ride, is it? It's
no,
just not that
exactly.
it ever has been, but it's just gotten to become a toxic ride at this
Yeah,
point.
and as a business owner too, like the cliff, the downward cliff, obviously is horrible. With the cancellations, I saw one yesterday about cancellations of music festivals in the United States, again for the second summer in a row. Just gets to a point where it's unsustainable for a business owner, for an employee, for it's not motivating anymore. I think there's a real threat of like the flight of talent outside the industry and
Mm,
businesses just getting to the point where they either have to give up or psychologically it's too difficult to keep going forward with so much uncertainty. And then the flip side of that is that when you have these upward cliffs, these
yeah.
spikes, that's challenging too because the infrastructure is not in place yet. You're having challenges with finding suppliers. All the suppliers are have greatly reduced staff,
Hmm.
so it's just trying to do business in that sort of climate. It's so difficult. It's difficult financially. It's difficult psychologically, and we're back there again. I mean, I think the X factor in this time around is the vaccine. So I'm
Yeah.
I'm hoping that the drop is not going to be as significant
Hmm.
as last year. That things are going to come back a little bit more. But at this point, who knows? And I
Yeah.
think again and there's been a lot of people talking about this, and that's why I think leaning on the virtual, on the technology is going to be necessary moving forward. Having that tool in your tool belt as an event professional, if you can. I mean, and it really depends too, because it's easy to say that as an event planner, but
Yeah.
if you are a taxi company or if you are a catering company that
Yeah.
like, yeah, we'll lean on virtual, it's like that's not there.
And at a
So
hotel as well, you can't lean on
yeah,
virtual. You can
exactly,
you can make
exactly.
avenues available to
Sure.
clients, but not everyone's going to need a green screen room and
Yeah,
virtual studio space that you're
exactly.
offering,
Yeah,
right? So
exactly. Yeah.
it's
So
hard.
it's tough. Let's see. Jaro here says hotels are having problems in recruiting employees. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. If hold on, let me. How do you know you've not done this in a long time? Is you forget how to bring on the comments. There we go. All right, here.
There we go. Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, and Joe makes a great point here. Is that recruiting people into an industry that is so uncertain is a challenge too. I mean, before you could talk about growth, you could talk about the future, you could talk about a 6-month plan, a one year plan with your employees,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of people who you can't bring somebody in and say, yeah, for the next year, business is great, things are going up. So yeah, there's a lot of tension between well, there's just a lot of tension in general. It's
There
like
is
you
at
can't
the
you
moment,
can't
and
yeah.
you also see it outwardly everywhere.
Mm,
In terms of there's so much signage. Even when I go somewhere, I see signage of we're understaffed, so please
hmm.
be patient, please
Right.
be understanding.
Yep.
We can, and these are things that are like at your local cafe or bakery
Yeah.
or restaurant where as Yarrow said, it's not just
Yep.
hotels. Any kind of hospitality establishment are finding it hard to recruit.
Yep.
And I would imagine that even the events teams in hotels or event agencies, they are probably finding it really hard to recruit now as well. And
Hmm.
it's kind of this. Now, this would be really interesting, to speak to someone in the events industry recruitment field to kind of tell us what they're seeing, because I feel like lots more jobs are being posted and
Mm.
people are looking for
Yep.
positions, right?
Hmm.
But what is it on the ground? Are people
Yeah.
applying for jobs? Are they getting these jobs? As an employer, where is that connection, right?
Hmm.
What are you seeing? Because
Yep.
it's great news that jobs are being posted and jobs are available. But on the flip side, are people actually applying for these jobs? Are you
Mm.
getting the talent that you want and that you
Right.
need to fill
Yep.
these positions? Or are you getting talent that is a band-aid because
Hmm.
you need the bodies and you need someone responding to proposals, someone picking up the phones, someone clearing the tables in the
Hmm.
banquets department. At this stage, are we recruiting to just because we need the resource, or are
Hmm.
we actually recruiting talent? you know it's
Mm.
it's a big question. So I
Yeah.
think that might be something interesting to kind of talk about maybe
Mm.
next week. Let's see if
Yeah.
we can find a amazing person within the experiential or events industry
Hmm.
recruitment space.
Hmm.
Holler at me, put that person in the comments. I know a few, obviously.
Yep.
We both know a few. So we're going to reach out and see who we can bring onto the show next week to kind of talk about that a little bit, because
Yep.
I don't think it's being talked about enough. I see it on our social media feeds, but I think it will be worth hearing it.
Hmm.
So
Yep. Yeah. And I mean, you do see this, like, I see a huge disparity of, it goes again, it's so extreme. You have, I speak to companies where they're just insanely busy.
yeah,
And then I have other companies that are, they're going through this uncertainty, or they're not sure what's happening. There's not a lot of consistency across the industry.
yeah,
And yeah, it would be interesting to see, people that are hiring, what sort of positions are they hiring for? Are they for in person, or are they more for virtual positions?
yeah.
Is it for Q3, Q4, or is it because they're anticipating that Q1 and Q2 is going to be very busy? I'd be curious to see what those decisions are looking like, why people are deciding to hire at the moment. I know for me personally, Q1 and Q2, more Q2 actually, is looking very busy. The spring of
Yeah.
2022 is extremely busy. We contact hotels and venues right now. It is very difficult to find space. However, would you bet your house that that event is going to take place next March? you know,
Something
um,
else to think
I
about,
don't know.
right?
Yeah, I
Exactly.
don't know.
It's
So
uncertain.
it's real difficult, because right now, like, if you're planning an event for next spring, you also have to make certain commitments in terms of resources and staff. And I think what's interesting to think about is, who's willing to make that commitment, right? So it's, I don't know. There's not an easy answer. I think, um, we, as always, like, these conversations, sticking together, leaning on our network,
Yeah.
um, and because we're going to need a lot of support psychologically to continue to just fight for survival. And a big one too is, let's not forget about virtual. I know that it's a tough one for some people to get into, but it is a real solution while there's so much uncertainty. There's nothing stopping people from doing virtual events. And I mean, like, you and I will be moderating one coming
Yes.
up in September. So shout out for that. If you guys haven't signed up for the Digital Disruptor yet, please do. It's a really, really good example of how to run an incredible virtual event that's going to create engagement, and it is innovative and somewhat disruptive too. So definitely check that out.
Absolutely.
But uh,
Absolutely.
look
And
at
also
those
that
sort
it's
of
going to
events.
have an in-person component and be what we're all
Exactly.
thinking is an example of a truly hybrid
Hmm.
event,
Yep.
in all senses of the word.
Yep.
Jason's going to put the link to the event in the comments. So if you
Good job.
want to check it out, get yourself a ticket. It really is going to be something rather extraordinary. And that thought just popped into my head that obviously I'm going to be on site in Stavanger, Norway, as the
Yes.
on-site moderator to the in-person audience that's going to be attending this event, which is super exciting.
Yep.
Besides myself, still I'm like, oh my God, pinch me. Am I actually going to be at an event, right?
At a venue, and it's a cool venue too. The Fomo is like, it's really
The
sweet
venue
looking.
looks
I
super
am
awesome. So definitely hit
jealous.
that link. Check out the venue. Check out the schedule. For those of you who have tickets, the platform is already open, so you can go on there and you can explore and you can really start the gamification of it all as well and start engaging with people that are already attending the event. Set up your profile and all that good stuff.
Yep.
But also, this is an idea, Jason.
Yes.
I could go live that specific week
Mm-hmm.
from Stavanger, Norway, and just have them running around in the background, kind of behind the scenes, and
Cool.
if that's even going to be possible. But that could be quite
Yep.
cool to kind of be, I guess, checking in from an actual hybrid event. So
Absolutely. Yeah,
that
let's
could be
do it.
fun to do.
Let's do it.
So
Let's do it.
let's
And
definitely try into that.
speaking of hybrid events, Bob brings up a really good question here. He says, "What are thoughts on hybrid events in general?" He's seen a blog post stating they will die away. Still a useful tool or not needed anymore? Ooh,
That's a loaded question, Bob,
is it?
but
That
a
is.
very relevant one. A very
That's
relevant.
almost like, yeah, that could be a really good debate. I think the answer
I
is
think they're here to
it
stay. I think hybrid events are going to be a thing, but I think
sure, yeah.
there's going to be a variation. There's going to be a variety of
Mhm.
them. There's not going to be like one kind of hybrid event
Yeah,
that everyone's like, oh yes, because you're doing this and this, it's a hybrid.
right.
I think that very similar to virtual, there's going to be a variety of events that fall under that category that you can categorize and define as virtual.
Mm,
And hybrid is going to be exactly the same. It's going to be that headline, and it's going to break down into a variety of different types of hybrid events. And I'm
yeah.
only saying this because one of my last posts, I think it was yesterday, was about the metaverse. Now, this is
Hmm.
going to be something we're going to talk about, Jason,
Yeah,
on the show, the
I'm up for it.
metaverse, because this
Yep.
is a word that's trending mega right now. And
Hmm.
I read about 10 blogs yesterday on this topic. And to be honest, one of the things about the metaverse is a lot of the brands that are starting to invest, in this article that I wrote for LinkedIn, how it's going to impact the events industry. A lot of the brands that are starting to invest in doing events in the metaverse, and which is a special kind of AR, VR kind of
Hmm.
landscape that you're doing your event in, is that they're also doing a twin in person multimedia event alongside what they're running in
Okay.
this virtual space,
Hmm.
which to me sounds kind of hybrid because they're doing both, but how are they bridging the two, right?
Yep.
And that's where the hybrid element comes in. So I think it's really, really interesting, and I think that I think this question is going to be around for a while, just because
Sure.
none of us have really defined truly
It's
what
new.
hybrid is or what
Yeah,
categories it falls under, and we're still learning.
absolutely. Yeah, we're
We're
still
absolutely
learning,
still
and
learning.
I mean, I think for my opinion about the hybrid is we so when this all started, we had the virtual versus in-person debate, right? Which is better, which is more valuable, and then now hybrids coming into the conversation. And I agree with you. I think there's always it's to me they're all events, right? So what's happened is now you have events as the umbrella, and now you have three different products that you can offer your client. So you can
Correct.
offer them an in-person event, hybrid event, or 100% virtual event. And so I think it's here to stay. The challenge that I see with hybrid is it is true that there's an added layer of complexity, which translates into an added layer of costs. And so I think that the easy fallback option will be in person, because we've been doing that since the beginning of time. um,
I also
but
think there's an added layer of expertise and talent that we're
absolutely, yeah.
overlooking here, right? Because if you're
Hmm.
going to be running your event for a client on a gaming platform,
Yep.
you're going to have to find an event
Yeah,
professional
yeah.
that is well versed in being able to do that,
Can
and
understand.
has
Yep.
that background and understands what that
Hmm.
entails.
Yep.
That's going to be really interesting. Your regular standard event agency is probably not going
Yep.
to be able to do that. They're going to have
Yep.
to skill up somehow.
Yep. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
going to be interesting.
So I think they're here, but I think it depends on budget. I mean, let's be honest. When I get a request, there is always a budget attached to that request, and there's going to be budgets that are suitable for in person. There's going to be budgets that are suitable for hybrid, and there's going to be budgets suitable for virtual. It also depends on the needs and the goals of that event. So I think they're here. I think they will be here. However, I think the answer is it depends. I don't think that it's the future and everything's going to be hybrid moving forward. I
No.
don't think so. But I
No.
do think it's going to be, again, another type of event that will become more common than it is now. And the metaverse is real. I think we should dedicate at least one to the metaverse. It's so like the events community. How do I say this without sounding how do I say that without sounding bad? But like we are constantly catching up. We're constantly catching up. Yeah.
We are.
Because the
It's true.
metaverse has been around for years. I mean, like 10 years ago.
In various forms, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, 10 years ago when I went to, hang out with my nephews who were 12 and 11, and they were playing World of Warcraft, right? Um, that was a metaverse. They had characters inside of a world that was built for them. They could interact with each other. They could buy clothing and things. It was a universe created digitally, which we're catching up. And it's great that you brought that conversation up because it's a really cool future for hybrid and virtual. But yeah, we have a lot to talk about.
And get someone on the show that we can talk to about who's actually had an event in the metaverse. I know someone from a big consulting firm, and they had one of their last events in an actual metaverse. And what does that mean? What does that look like? That'll be fascinating to learn about, right? So, so let me, I'm going to do that, guys. Everyone who's paying attention right now, and I'm super excited because this is such a wonderful way to expand, the show. And so Bob also has brought up a very good point in the comments. Something that people forget about hybrid events is that it's fairly inclusive for disabilities, which is so true. And for those of you watching, there was a video posted by Meg Strahl today on LinkedIn and on Twitter, which she did. And it's called See Me, Hear Me, Include Me. And I thought it was one of the most powerful videos I've seen in a really long time from an event professional. She's an incredible advocate and ambassador for the disabled community. Not all people who have disabilities have visible disabilities. She has an invisible disability, as in you can't see it from the outside. But what she was explaining and what she was talking about in her video about how difficult this pandemic has been for her and people in the community it's been crazy. So my last post, I shared it. Please go and check it out. I'll try to link it in the comments in this chat. But yeah, disability is huge. Accessibility is a massive topic as well.
100%.
So we're out of time, and we just want to say, Jason, I'm very excited. To everyone that's watching, if you're watching this, thank you for watching and joining us. If you are watching the replay, this is again a reminder that we are changing. We're going to become the EventProfs weekly live, and we're going to talk about anything and everything. We're going to have global correspondents joining. We're going to be talking about all kinds of topics on top of what we are both thought leaders and experts on. So, there'll still be social media, digital marketing, and all things marketing, but we're going to break it further and become kind of, I said this to Jason yesterday, the Regis and Kathy Lee of the events industry. And if you don't get that reference, then I am
Look it up. Sabrina, I got to run. I got a call that I got to jump on, but let's do this. We'll see you guys next week.
See you guys next week.
Right.
Bye.
Bye.